The large screen in the United Nations Space Command Center showed hundreds of strange ships entering Earth's orbit. Jack Miller stood with his mouth open, staring at the sight. The year was 2187, and humanity had spread across the solar system with homes on Mars, Europa, and Titan. But they had never seen aliens before. "They're huge," Jack said, adjusting his blue tie. As a diplomat for the UNSC, he had handled tough talks between Earth colonies, but never anything like this. General Rogers stepped forward. "Miller, we need you on this one. Your calm head might save us all." Jack nodded, though his heart beat fast in his chest. "Who else is on the team?" "Lieutenant Susan Clark," the general said, pointing to a woman with short brown hair standing near the door. Susan walked over and shook Jack's hand. "I've read your file. You're good with words. We'll need that today." Alarms blared as a message came through. The alien ships wanted to talk. "Let's go meet our new friends," Jack said with a smile that hid his fear. The small Earth shuttle carried Jack and Susan toward the biggest alien ship. Through the window, they could see it was at least 20 times larger than the biggest human ship ever built. "These Galaxians have been watching us," Susan said, looking at her tablet. "Our radio signals reached their part of space 50 years ago." Jack tried to stay calm. "So they know about us, but we know nothing about them." Not the best start for talks. Their shuttle landed in a huge bay inside the alien ship. The doors opened, and Jack felt the strange, cool air hit his face. 6 tall beings with gray-blue skin and 4 arms waited for them. "Follow," one said in rough English. Jack and Susan walked through long hallways with curved walls that glowed with soft light. They were led to a round room with a large table. One alien, wearing what looked like armor with special marks, stepped forward. "I am Admiral Vortek of the Galaxian Empire," he said, his voice deep and rumbling. "We control 200 star systems and 17 species. Earth will be 18. Jack kept his face neutral. "I'm Jack Miller, and this is Lieutenant Clark. We're here to talk about peaceful." "There is nothing to talk about," Vortek interrupted. "You will surrender your planet and colonies now, or we will destroy them. Your weapons are nothing against our fleet." Susan stepped forward. "Maybe we could discuss trade instead. Earth has many resources." Vortek slammed one of his 4 hands on the table. "You do not understand. This is not a meeting between equals. This is me telling you how to save your people's lives." Jack looked at Susan. Something in her eyes matched what he was thinking. He turned back to Vortek. "Can you give us time to speak with our leaders about your offer?" 24 of your hours, Vortek said. "Then we begin attacking your outer colonies if we have no answer." Jack couldn't help it. He let out a small laugh. Vortek's eyes narrowed. "You find the death of your people funny, human." "No," Jack said, controlling himself. "It's just, you came all this way to make threats without even saying hello properly." Susan covered her mouth, but a laugh escaped anyway. The Galaxians looked at each other, confused by the humans' reaction. "We will return tomorrow with Earth's answer," Jack said, standing straight. "Thank you for your time, Admiral." As they walked back to their shuttle, Vortek watched them with growing worry. These humans were not acting scared, and that made him very nervous indeed. "They have no idea what's waiting for them," Susan whispered as the shuttle doors closed. Jack smiled. "No, they really don't." Jack and Susan walked quickly through the UNSC headquarters. Guards opened the heavy doors to the war room, where President Alan Brooks waited with his team. "How did it go?" the president asked, his gray hair neatly combed despite the late hour. "They gave us 24 hours to surrender," Jack said. "Admiral Vortek wasn't happy when we left." President Brooks smiled. I bet he wasn't. He turned to a thin woman with glasses standing by a large screen. "Dr. Grant, show them what we've been hiding all these years." Dr. Olivia Grant tapped on her tablet, and the wall screen lit up with images of small satellites. "For 30 years, We've been working on quantum displacement technology. It lets us move objects partially out of our dimension. Susan stepped closer to the screen. I've heard rumors, but I didn't think it was real. Very real, Dr. Grant said. And the best part, it's completely invisible to normal scans. The Xalaxians have no idea we have it. Dr. Grant showed videos of tests. In one, a small device made a tank disappear in a flash of blue light. In another, a beam of energy hit a shield and vanished into nothing. We can phase objects in and out of reality, Dr. Grant explained. Our weapons can pass through any shield or ship wall, then become solid again inside. We can also redirect energy attacks into empty space. Jack whistled. No wonder we weren't scared. Exactly, President Brooks said. While you were meeting with the aliens, Commander Peter Walsh was putting our plan into action. The screen changed to show a map of Earth with small dots moving around it. Commander Walsh is leading a team to place quantum satellites in orbit, President Brooks explained. By tomorrow, we'll have Earth fully protected. What about Mars and the other colonies? Susan asked. Already done, Dr. Grant said proudly. We've had quantum grids around all human settlements for years. We just kept them inactive to avoid detection. Jack shook his head in amazement. And the Xalaxians think we're defenseless. That's our advantage, President Brooks said. Now, you two need to go back tomorrow with our answer. In a small room nearby, Jack and Susan prepared their response. They worked through the night, choosing their words carefully. We should be respectful but firm, Jack said, typing on his tablet. Susan nodded. We don't want war, but we won't be bullied either. The next morning, they boarded the shuttle back to the Xalaxian flagship. Through the window, they could see Earth's oceans and clouds, looking peaceful despite the danger above. Beautiful, isn't it? Jack said. Worth protecting, Susan replied. Back on the alien ship, Admiral Vortek waited with more Xalaxian officers. His 4 arms were crossed, showing his impatience. Have you brought your surrender? He asked as soon as Jack and Susan entered. Jack handed him a small device. This contains Earth's official response. Vortek pressed a button, and a hologram appeared showing President Brooks. Greetings, Admiral Vortek, the President's image said. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I must respectfully decline your offer. We invite you to establish peaceful relations instead. If that doesn't interest you, we ask that you leave our solar system. The hologram disappeared. Vortek's face turned a darker blue with anger. You are making a terrible mistake, he growled. You have no idea of our power. Susan smiled politely. And you have no idea of ours, Admiral. You will regret this, Vortek said. I will show you what happens to those who defy the Empire. We hope you'll reconsider, Jack said calmly. War benefits no one. As they left the room, Vortek turned to his officers. Prepare to attack the Mars outpost. We will show these humans what real power looks like. Back on their shuttle, Jack looked at Susan. They're going to attack, aren't they? Susan nodded. Yes, but they're in for a big surprise. Admiral Vortek stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as 5 warships moved toward Mars. The red planet looked small and helpless. Target the mining outpost in Valles Marineris, he ordered. Just one outpost. We want to scare them, not destroy everything yet. On Mars, 300 workers at the mining outpost saw the alert on their screens. Instead of running to shelters, they calmly continued their work. Their boss, Sam Green, made one call to Earth, then told everyone to stay put. Trust the system, he said over the speakers. This is what we've been preparing for. In her lab on Earth, Dr. Grant watched her screens as the Xalaxian ships moved into position. Commander Walsh stood beside her, his face serious. Quantum grid is ready, Dr. Grant said. Satellites are in position around Mars. Commander Walsh nodded. Wait until they fire first. Let them think they have the advantage. President Brooks, Jack, and Susan watched from the UNSC command center. The room was quiet as everyone stared at the main screen showing the selection ships. "They're charging weapons," someone called out. Jack felt his heart beat faster. "Will it work?" he whispered to Susan. "It has to," she replied. On his ship, Admiral Vortek raised his hand. Fire. Bright green energy beams shot from all 5 selection ships, heading straight for the Mars outpost. The beams were powerful enough to melt through rock and metal in seconds. But just before they hit, something strange happened. The beams seemed to bend and twist. Then they simply vanished, as if they had never existed. What happened? Vortek shouted. Where did the beams go? His officers checked their screens, confused. Unknown, Admiral. They just disappeared. On Earth, Dr. Grant smiled. Quantum displacement successful. The energy was redirected into subspace. Commander Walsh picked up a communicator. Mars Defense Station 1. You are clear to respond. On a small hidden base on Mars's moon Phobos, Captain Donna Ellis received the message. Copy that. Firing quantum torpedo now. A single small missile launched from Phobos. It looked tiny compared to the massive selection ships. The Xalaxians didn't even try to shoot it down, thinking it was too small to cause damage. The torpedo flew straight toward the lead selection ship. Instead of hitting the hull, it seemed to pass through it like a ghost. Inside the ship, it suddenly became solid again, right in the main engine room. The explosion was massive. The Xalaxian flagship split in half, and the shockwave damaged 2 nearby ships. Emergency alarms blared across the Xalaxian fleet. Impossible, Vortek shouted as his ship shook. He grabbed a railing to stay standing. How did they do that? On Earth, the command center erupted in cheers. President Brooks raised his hands for quiet. This is just the beginning, he said. They still have hundreds of ships. But now they know we can fight back. Jack watched the screen in amazement. One torpedo did all that. Quantum displacement is a game changer, Susan explained. Their shields are useless against it. President Brooks turned to them. Jack, Susan, I'm promoting both of you. Jack, you're now our chief diplomat to alien species. Susan, you're promoted to captain and will lead our diplomatic security team. Thank you, sir, they both said. Don't thank me yet, President Brooks said. Your job just got harder. Now you need to negotiate from a position of strength, without starting a galaxy-wide war. Back in space, the damaged selection ships retreated to rejoin their main fleet. Admiral Vortek stared at Mars with new respect and fear in his eyes. These humans, he said quietly, are not what they seem. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Admiral, the Emperor is demanding a report. Vortek's face darkened. Tell him we need reinforcements. Many more ships. As the Selexian fleet regrouped, Earth prepared for the real battle that was sure to come. Admiral Vortek stood before a large screen, facing the angry faces of the Selexian High Command. Their dark blue skin looked almost purple with rage. You lost 3 warships to a single missile, Grand Marshal Zorix asked, his 4 arms crossed tightly across his chest. Their technology is unlike anything we've seen before, Vortek explained. The humans can somehow make objects pass through solid matter. Impossible, another commander said. No species we've conquered has such abilities. These humans are the 17th species we've tried to add to our empire, Vortek said. All others fell quickly. These are different. The screen changed to show the Emperor himself. Emperor Drazkor wore gold armor and had special markings on his face showing his royal status. Admiral Vortek, the Emperor said, his voice cold. You have failed your first task. Do not fail the second. I am sending the Imperial Armada to help you crush these humans. Delay them until we arrive. The screen went black. Vortek turned to his officers, worry clear on his face. Prepare for defensive positions, he ordered. No more attacks until the Armada arrives. Meanwhile on Earth, in a small office deep inside UNSC headquarters, Intelligence Officer Nancy Rodriguez studied reports from the Selaxian ships. She'd been watching their communications for days. "Captain Clark, I found something interesting," she said when Susan entered the room. Susan looked at the screen. "What am I seeing?" "Communications between ships," Nancy explained. "Not all Selaxians are the same. Look at these signals from the smaller ships. They're using different languages when they think no one is listening." Susan leaned closer. "You're saying the Empire isn't just one species," Nancy said. "I count signals from at least 16 different languages. The Selaxians are the rulers, but most of their forces are from other conquered planets." Susan immediately called Jack. "We need to tell the president." In the main conference room, Nancy showed her discovery to President Brooks, Jack, Commander Walsh, and Dr. Grant. "The Empire is built on conquest," Nancy explained. "The Selaxians are in charge, but most of their soldiers and workers come from planets they've taken over. That gives us an opportunity," Jack said. "If these other species aren't happy under Selaxian rule, we could offer them freedom." Susan finished his thought. Commander Walsh nodded. "We could broadcast a message to all ships in their fleet, offer protection to any who want to break away." "It's risky," President Brooks said, "but it could work." Dr. Grant had been quiet, thinking. "I've been working with the quantum team on new applications," she said. "We can now disable ships without destroying them. Target their engines only." "Perfect," Jack said. "We offer them a choice. Stay with an empire that treats them as second-class citizens, or join us as equals." President Brooks stood up. "Make it happen. Jack, write the message. Make it simple but powerful. Susan, work with Dr. Grant on tactical plans to protect any ships that might defect to our side." Over the next day, Jack worked on the message while Susan and Dr. Grant tested the new targeted quantum weapons. Commander Walsh prepared Earth's small fleet of ships for possible combat. When the message was ready, Jack showed it to the president. "To all members of the Selaxian fleet," it began. "We know many of you are not Selaxian by birth. Your planets were conquered, and you serve the Empire not by choice but by force. Earth offers you another path. Join us, and we will protect you. Together, we can build a new alliance based on respect, not fear. Any ship that breaks formation and comes to Earth will be welcomed as friends, not subjects." President Brooks read it and nodded. "Send it." The message was translated into all 16 languages Nancy had identified and broadcast to every ship in the Selaxian fleet. On his flagship, Admiral Vortek received reports of the broadcast and slammed his fist on the control panel. "Block that signal," he shouted, but it was too late. Throughout the fleet, captains and crews from conquered worlds listened to Earth's offer and began to whisper among themselves. 3 days after Earth sent its message, alarms rang through the UNSC command center. 5 ships had broken away from the Selaxian fleet and were moving toward Earth. "Are they attacking?" President Brooks asked, rushing into the room. Commander Walsh checked his screen. "No, sir. They've lowered their weapons and are broadcasting on an open channel." "Put it through," the president ordered. A face appeared on the main screen. It looked similar to a human, but with gold skin and large dark eyes. "People of Earth," the alien said, "I am Commander Kale of the Tellurian ships. We were the first species conquered by the Selaxians 80 years ago. We accept your offer of friendship." Jack stepped forward. "Commander Kale, welcome. We will protect your ships. Please follow the path we send you." Dr. Grant activated the quantum shield, extending it to cover the Tellurian ships as they approached Earth. The timing was perfect. Moments later, the Selaxian fleet fired at the deserters. "They're attacking," someone shouted. Everyone watched as the Selaxian energy beams hit the quantum shield and disappeared into nothing. Admiral Vortek's angry face appeared on another screen. "Return those ships immediately. They belong to the Empire." The ships and their crews have asked for our protection. Jack replied calmly. They are under Earth's shield now. This means war, human. Vortex shouted. Jack smiled. I believe you already declared war when you demanded our surrender, Admiral. The communication ended. Commander Walsh turned to the President. Sir, we're receiving messages from 12 other ships in the Salaxian fleet. They want to join us too. Extend the shield as needed, the President ordered, and prepare for a bigger fight. Later that day, Commander Kale and representatives from 4 other species met with Earth's leaders. They sat around a large table in the UNSC headquarters. The Salaxians conquered my world when I was a child, Kale explained. His gold skin shimmered under the lights. They take the best workers and soldiers from each planet they conquer. Many of us have been waiting for someone strong enough to stand against them. How many ships might join us? Susan asked. Perhaps 100, said a female alien with purple scales and silver eyes. I am Captain Vreen of the Linturi. My people were taken 10 years ago. The Empire controls thousands of ships, Commander Walsh pointed out. We're still outnumbered. But we have the technology advantage, Dr. Grant reminded everyone. And now we have their knowledge of Salaxian weaknesses. Jack stood up. I propose we form an alliance, not just for protection, but for a new future. A solar alliance, with equal rights for all members. I agree, Kale said, standing as well. My people would be honored to join such an alliance. One by one, all the alien representatives stood and agreed. President Brooks watched with pride as the first interstellar alliance in human history formed before his eyes. After the meeting, Dr. Grant showed the Tellurian engineers how the quantum technology worked. Can you adapt this to our ships? Kale asked, studying the small device. Yes, Dr. Grant said. We'll start right away. Meanwhile, Susan worked with military leaders from all the allied species. We need to prepare for the Imperial Armada, she said. Vortek called for reinforcements days ago. Captain Vreen looked worried. The Imperial Armada is led by Emperor Drazkor himself. It's 3 times larger than Vortek's fleet. Then we better work fast, Susan said. We have the home advantage and surprise on our side. But they have numbers. As the new allies planned their defense, Admiral Vortek watched from his ship, growing more worried by the hour as more ships defected. The Emperor will not be pleased, his second-in-command said. Vortek's face darkened. No, he will not. But soon, he will be here with the Armada. And these humans will learn that no one laughs at the Empire and lives. 1 week after the formation of the Solar Alliance, Earth's long-range sensors detected a massive fleet entering the solar system. 3,000 warships, all bigger than anything humans had built, moved toward Earth in perfect formation. The Imperial Armada has arrived, Commander Walsh announced in the war room. His face was serious but calm. President Brooks looked at the giant screen showing the incoming ships. How many Allied ships do we have now? 143, Susan answered, plus Earth's 57 ships. We're still outnumbered 15 to 1. Jack looked at the representatives from the 5 alien species who had joined them. This is your last chance to leave. No one would blame you. Commander Kale of the Tellurians stood tall. We did not come this far to run away. The Salaxians have ruled through fear for too long. The main screen lit up with the face of a Salaxian wearing a golden crown-like helmet. His skin was darker blue than the others, with silver markings across his face. I am Emperor Drazkor, he said, his voice deep and cold. You have stolen my ships and corrupted my subjects. Return them now, and I may allow some humans to live as servants. President Brooks stepped forward. Emperor Drazkor, I am President Alan Brooks of Earth. Your ships and crews came to us freely, seeking protection from your rule. We offered friendship, not domination. The Emperor's face showed no emotion. You have 1 hour to surrender and return what is mine. Then we attack. The screen went dark. He's not going to listen, Susan said. No, Jack agreed. But now everyone in the solar system has heard both sides. They know what we stand for. President Brooks turned to Commander Walsh. Are we ready? Walsh nodded. Dr. Grant has installed quantum shields around Earth, Mars, and all our colonies. The Allied ships have been fitted with quantum torpedoes. We're as ready as we can be. Then let's show the Emperor why humans laughed at his fleet, the President said. 1 hour later, the Imperial Armada moved forward. Thousands of energy beams shot toward Earth and the Allied fleet. Dr. Grant stood at her control panel, fingers moving quickly. Quantum shield activated. The beams hit the invisible shield and disappeared into subspace. The Emperor's flagship fired again and again, but nothing got through. Our turn, Commander Walsh said. He signaled to the fleet. All ships, execute pattern Alpha. Earth's ships, smaller but faster than the Salaxian vessels, suddenly disappeared from their positions. Using quantum displacement technology, they'd reappeared inside the Salaxian formation. Fire, Walsh ordered. Quantum torpedoes launched from Earth's ships, passing through the Salaxian shields like they weren't there. When they reappeared inside the enemy ships, the explosions tore through metal and machinery. 30 Salaxian ships exploded in the first minute. The perfect formation broke apart as ships tried to avoid the unexpected attack. The Allied alien ships, led by Commander Kale, targeted specific weak points they knew from their time in the Empire. Captain Vreen's ships went after the communication systems, cutting off the Emperor's ability to coordinate his fleet. On Earth's main warship, Commander Walsh watched the battle with Susan at his side. It's working, Susan said, but they still have thousands of ships. We don't need to destroy them all, Walsh replied. We just need to show them we can. On his flagship, Emperor Drazkor watched in shock as his perfect armada fell into chaos. Ships exploded all around him. For the first time in his long rule, he felt afraid. How are they doing this? He demanded. No one has this technology. His advisors had no answers. The humans and their allies continued their attack, appearing and disappearing throughout the Imperial formation. After 1 hour of battle, 300 Salaxian ships had been destroyed. 500 more were damaged. The Empire had never suffered such losses. Emperor, his chief advisor said quietly, a small human ship is approaching under a flag of truce. They request to speak with you. Emperor Drazkor's forehands clenched into fists. Bring them to me, he growled. I want to see these humans who dare to challenge the Empire. Jack Miller and Susan Clark stood in the shuttle as it approached the Emperor's massive flagship. Through the window, they could see the battle still raging in the distance. Are you sure this is a good idea? Susan asked, checking her tablet one last time. Jack straightened his tie. No, but it's better than watching thousands more die today. The shuttle landed in the Emperor's docking bay, which was 3 times larger than anything on Earth's ships. Royal guards with golden armor escorted them through long hallways to the Emperor's throne room. Emperor Drazkor sat on a large chair made of a dark metal. His 4 arms rested on the armrests, and his blue face showed anger and confusion. You are the humans who think they can defeat my empire, he asked, his voice echoing in the large room. Jack stepped forward. We're the humans who already are defeating your empire, your majesty. But we'd rather talk than continue fighting. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You destroy hundreds of my ships, steal my subjects, and now want to talk. Yes, Susan said simply. Because we believe there's a better way forward than endless war. Jack opened his tablet and projected a document into the air between them. These are our terms. You can keep your empire and current territories. But any world that wishes independence must be granted it. The Emperor laughed, but there was no joy in it. Why would I agree to this? Because your fleet is being systematically destroyed out there, Susan pointed out. Our quantum technology makes your weapons useless, and your shields meaningless. And, Jack added, because more of your ships are changing sides every hour. How long before your own people start to question your rule? The Emperor stood, towering over the humans. I could kill you both right now. You could, Jack agreed. But that wouldn't stop what's happening. Earth doesn't need us to win this fight. For a long moment, the Emperor stared at them. Then he looked out the window at his once perfect fleet in disarray. I have ruled for 200 years, he said quietly. No one has ever challenged me like this. Maybe it was time someone did, Susan suggested. After a long silence, the Emperor sat back down. I will consider your terms. Return to your planet. We will have an answer in one day. 1 year later, Jack stood on a beautiful glass platform on Europa, Jupiter's moon. Around him were representatives from 23 worlds, all former parts of the empire that had chosen independence. Susan, now Admiral Clark, stood beside him in her new uniform. Quite a change from that first meeting with Vortek, she said. Jack smiled. Who would have thought that laughing at their fleet would lead to this? The doors opened, and Emperor Drazkor entered. He looked different now. His royal markings were simpler, and he walked with less arrogance. Behind him came representatives from the worlds that had stayed with the Empire. Ambassador Miller, the Emperor said, nodding to Jack, the Empire is ready to sign the Galactic Charter of Rights. On Earth, Dr. Grant received the Nobel Prize for her quantum displacement technology. We're now adapting it for peaceful uses, she told the crowd. Soon, we'll be able to travel between stars in days instead of years. Commander Walsh, now Fleet Admiral, stood on the bridge of Earth's new flagship, the Unity. Ships from dozens of species arrived for the first Galactic Defense Summit. His young officer looked nervous. Sir, do you think this peace will last? Walsh smiled. Nothing lasts forever, but we've built something good here. The old empire ruled through fear. We lead through respect. Were you ever worried during the battle? The officer asked. Not really, Walsh said, looking out at the stars. When humans saw the Empire's fleet and laughed, I knew we'd win. Not because we were stronger, but because we weren't afraid to try something new. As the Unity moved through space, Walsh thought about how far they had come. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. They had friends among the stars now, and a future brighter than anyone could have imagined. We didn't conquer the galaxy, he said softly. We helped free it. And that's a much better story to tell our children.